morning, folks. Look, if you're watching this channel, you too have been working on your car or truck and caught the while we're in there bug. And it happens for good reason, because at the end of the day, you'd rather be driving your car rather than wasting countless hours working on the damn thing, or just taking up a spot in your driveway and having your HOA complain to you. If you're gonna take the thing apart, you might as well fix all the other little stuff that's inevitably gonna go wrong. And hell, you might as well make a little bit more power while you're at it too, right? Yeah, boy. So right now, I'm just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina, here in NASCAR country. We're about to head to an undisclosed R&D facility to test some products that were developed by Summit Racing's in-house Skunk Works team. This is a group of hand-picked engineers that hail from aerospace, pro stock, and other various go-fast pedigree. So I think we're in for a good time. And also, if you're wondering why I'm driving a Mopar product, well, my rental for the week is this Hellcat, which I feel like works kind of perfect for this forced induction fun we're about to have. Yeah, buddy! Goddamn, I love this thing. I hate to say it. All right, so look, let's say you got yourself a work truck, maybe it's the shop truck, and maybe you want to build yourself a super sleeper on the absolute low. These U-Haul spec F-150s like the one behind me, I think we picked up at a really decent price. But in any of those scenarios, probably got 100K on the odometer, maybe even more, and you're gonna have to change some things. This is where this other stuff that I'm about to show you comes in. Now look, if you've ever owned one of the Ford Ecoboost motors, you know that at about 100,000 miles, there's some stuff that's gonna need to be replaced, namely the turbo, because this little guy likes to get real wobbly and take some things out. On these turbos, you get an issue with things like the oil seal. Once that starts to go, the turbine shaft starts doing a little dance inside, start wiping these little guys out, and then the impeller starts hitting the housing, right? As we all know, metal and oil or inside your intake, not a good thing. Another problem we typically have with these, things like the manifolds, are a little on the weak side. They start to leak, they start to warp, they start to basically make terrible noises. Like in this case right here, you see all this blow by that's happening. That's dumping hot air into your engine bay, which could really lead to a fire, which isn't good. Another thing on these motors, cast manifolds. They tend to warp, they tend to leak. You start to get inaccurate readings on one bank versus the other. The ECU tries to make up for that. You start over boosting the turbo, changing your fueling. One thing leads to another, and then it's a chain reaction that wipes everything out. Now, lastly, another big issue. We got these jiffy fittings. These tend to leak really bad too. These with the hard lines tend to crack, and the seals go bad inside of them, which I think all of us know that hot oil or a bunch of coolant going in the wrong place is never a good thing. Now look, not everybody wants to go whole hog and throw a giant whooshy booshy boy on their motor. Maybe you just want to keep it relatively stock. Let's call it stock plus plus. Here's the solution. Summit Racing just released this line of OEM replacement turbos. These have been reworked and redesigned, machined with all brand new tooling. All of the tolerances, much tighter. Also, they've upgraded a few things. This billet impeller, and the design for this is upgraded basically to match what the Gen 3's got. So let's say if you got a Gen 1 or Gen 2, it's gonna be more efficient on that side. Also, we've got an Inconel exhaust impeller. That's gonna take a lot of heat. Design's really dope on that. Also, the journal bearing itself is much larger, so much more stable. The good thing about this is that these actually are more efficient and give you a little bit of power bump in the mid-range. Technically, you don't have to do any tuning, but if you want to, you can get a lot more out of them. Now, to follow that up, really important piece of this puzzle is this cast stainless manifold system that they got. Obviously, there's two turbos, two manifolds, but just for the sake of comparison, I want you to look at both of these side by side. Now, you don't have to be a rocket scientist or an engineer to know that this is gonna flow a hell of a lot better than this, but this is also much more stable. It's much better sealing, and here's why. Look at the size of the flanges. The deck on this thing, much thicker, so you got way better sealing surface. Notice how right where these notoriously leak, you see this? There's no hole there for a stud to go through. There is a hole in the cylinder head that is tapped and threaded. This system capitalizes on that. So you get better sealing force and better heat retention and less opportunity for your car to catch on fire or overboost the turbo or screw up your fueling. So leading to better function, more efficiency, and less chance of you blowing your cats out too. Now, there's more to this kit that makes it great. If you've ever taken one of these off, you know that you're not going to be able to pull this off without breaking off a few studs. Those exhaust studs are one use only, and they're not very strong either. So to fix that, you get an entire kit of Inconel exhaust studs. Now these things can take all of the heat you're gonna throw at them, and it makes your life a hell of a lot easier in the event that you do have to reservice this thing or take it off again. Maybe you wanna upgrade later on. This is the move right here. We can ensure a nice clean seal. Speaking of seal, it does come with a kit of multi-layer steel gaskets for the exhaust. This is very good. And then we've got the fix for these. So instead of trying to get new Jiffy fittings, the kit comes with new lines, all AN. They're heat insulated, stainless, they're nice and robust. They're gonna save you on melting stuff, and it's gonna save you from overheating fluids. Now, this does come with all of the correct adapters so that you can upgrade to this AN system. All nice, aluminum, very clean. We like that. There's some other things that make this kit really dope. If you've ever ran a turbocharger, you know that thing cranks a lot of heat, and hot air don't make power. This is your stock intercooler system that comes on the Fords. You got plastic ends, it's a decent size, but there's some inefficiencies here and there's a lot of room for growth. And Summit has a solution for that. So check this out. Let's just get this crap out of the way. We don't need that. Oh, this is the new Summit Big Daddy replacement intercooler for that thing. Now, as you can see, the brick on this is double the size. That means you have way more surface area to cool down that insanely hot air charge that's going into your motor, leading to things like better power, better fuel efficiency, less opportunity for detonation. Let's say if you're somebody that likes to tow things, this is gonna help save your motor. It's also gonna make you more power too, but you know, that's the side effect. It's actually more than double the size. This thing is damn near triple the thickness of the stock intercooler. It's a glorious thing. You don't have to do any cutting, there's no modification needed. It just takes up the space that giant stock plastic piece of crap was filling in. It gets you more opportunity to keep your motor running longer and making a little more power, which I think we can all agree is a good thing. Plus it looks badass. So that's a win. On top of that, there's one more piece to this puzzle that I think all of us can agree is probably the sickest part. And it's probably the most simple one too. And that's this. You see, the stock Ford Ecoboost system comes with this electronic blow-off valve, but it channels it through this kind of ridiculous muffler thingy, whatever, right? And this just circulates the hot air back into your system as well. This little guy right here is the Summit Racing vent to atmosphere adapter. So VTA, if you will. And what that does, you see that little channel right there? This guy simply bolts in between the little baffle and your electronic blow-off valve, and boom, all of a sudden you got whooshy-booshy noises sounding like you're at Fast and the Furious 2001. Now look, yes, simple by design, it's billet, it's clean, it works, and it makes you sound cool. All of this stuff is basically OEM replacement. It's not gonna cause you to have to do any modifications on stuff. And the best part is, it costs just about the same as replacing all this stuff with stock stuff. But wait, there's one more thing. It actually shortens the install time because it's easier to install because it fixes a lot of the little problems that you'd have if you're putting OEM stuff back on. Now there's an installation kit that comes with this that actually gets rid of the stock basic stud kind of design that you gotta put in here that's like really just a pain in the ass and never works. There replaces that with a hex. As you can see, everything well thought through because it's people that actually have to deal with working on cars, not just engineers throwing stuff together to save an almighty dollar. I think it's about time we actually put one of these in a test, see what it'll do on the street, and we should probably see what it does on the dyno too. Let's go. All right, look folks, this is the age of the internet, and we know that can't just make a bunch of bold claims and talk a bunch of hype without backing it up. We've rented a chassis dyno, we'll see what this thing actually does. Then we're gonna show you what it can do when you sprinkle a little extra sauce on top. All right, Old Faithful on the dyno here. Let's see what she can do. Also, if you look up front, look how beautifully that intercooler fits in there. And obviously hit it with some black spray paint, or if you wanna let everybody know what's up, you know, leave it silver. So the blue one, is this our stock baseline?
That's our stock baseline.
Red is just with the turbo upgrades only, correct?
Correct. Yeah, you can see the boost really starts to ramp in here nicely, and then really this nice usable mid-range power, you get a good bump in both of those.
You know, this is not like you putting a bigger turbo on. It's OEM replacement. To be able to have that kind of feel is really nice, right? I mean, this is where you drive the truck. This is where you need towing something. So it's nice to have that little bump. But let's look at it now after the liver noise tune. Now, while like the peak figure didn't jump a whole lot, look at all of this usable torque here that basically where the thing was falling flat on its face before. And this is a big, big improvement here all across the band. That's a 47 foot-pound disparity. And look how far that thing carries out where, you know, you're falling flat on your face just after 5,000 RPM in the stock tune and the stock turbos there. So if you really want to get into the nitty gritty here, right? Towing power is going to be a massive improvement. Right here at, what is that? 2,600 RPM, this thing went from making 8750 foot-pounds to 251. That's a massive improvement for not much effort. And you know what? You're keeping it basically stockish. See? Everybody wins. So you know what? There's some pretty big number jumps. Not too bad for a little V6. It's still missing cylinders though, okay? We can't excuse that part, but not bad. Not bad. Watch my channel, you know I'm not a V6 guy, pretty against it typically. But if we're talking cheap power and just doing some upgrades on the old shop truck, the old workhorse, it's a pretty slick solution for it. So right now we're gonna go put this thing to the test. We're gonna see what it does on the Draggy, see if it'll do some burnouts, see how it wants to behave. Thing gets it. Yo, this is a tire killing machine. Fun factor so far, pretty damn high. It's about an 8 out of 10. And that's saying a lot for a basically stock truck with 117,000 miles on it. So a little bit earlier, we were at the dyno, we were able to prove that this thing actually put some numbers down. It did it really consistently too, which is great. AFRs stayed where they need to be, knock sensors aren't going crazy, turbo speed, same as stock, so it's not over boosting the thing. Yeah, I'm guessing with this intercooler setup, with those manifolds and those upgraded turbos, those OEM turbos basically, it's able to be so much more efficient than the stock setup. This thing definitely woke up a lot without having to do some crazy mods to it that inevitably would lead to an early death to this motor. This thing's getting wild fuel economy, especially for 400 horsepower, 400 foot-pounds of V8, you know, we'd be drinking a lot more gas than this thing's sipping on. The guys actually did a really, really long-term test on another model that they had put the turbos on when they're doing testing. Something like 200,000 miles worth. It was still able to produce the same power after 200,000 miles of testing. It's some pretty in-depth information on this thing. This is why you invest in talent that comes from a lot of racing stuff, because there's nothing harder on vehicles than beating the hell out of them every single weekend. You learn a lot. It's street manners, totally drivable every day, and it's definitely got enough power to actually get out of its own way. And basically, this thing scoots, baby. The blow-off noise is a good icing on the cake here. It's a good combination of power and reliability that, you know what, is gonna be more than what most people need, you know, if you're not a psychopath like myself. But it's something you gotta rely on, like load up with gravel, rock, maybe even tow with. This thing works pretty damn good. One of my favorite things that these guys have engineered is this very simple plug and play paddle shift system for the 10-speed in these Fords. You hear that? It makes all the clicky noises you want, and it works effortlessly, and it looks cool. I mean, they're carbon fiber, it's really simple, and it doesn't look janky, and it doesn't interfere with anything. It's friggin' perfect. I honestly want to set something like this up in my Raptor if I can do it. This is the future. This is race car stuff for your truck. Love it. We got the Draggy here, so we're gonna see what it does. I actually have a lot higher hopes for it after driving it for a few minutes than I did. Now, I think the biggest factor that's gonna kneecap this thing is gonna be traction. It is a long bed truck with nothing in the ass end, and it definitely wants to blow the tires off if you stand on it, which is great. Is fighting me, baby. Okay, 9.4 seconds, no traction whatsoever. Yeah, we're gonna need a little traction control on this thing because no weight in the back. That's okay. That's okay. All right, let's see what she's got. Picks up the mid-range, baby. God dang. Woo! Damn, this thing scoots. This thing scoots. For a basically stock truck, man, this thing moves for a little V6. Holy hell. 5.78 seconds. Let's go. And this little thing likes to party too. It gets squirrely in the back. There's nothing more fun than a truck that makes more power than it needs to. And the fact that you didn't have to do, well, hardly anything to it makes it right. At the end of the day, we need to analyze here. You know, is it worth it? Turns out the MSRP on these are significantly less than stock. The turbos itself, you're gonna save damn near 45% over the cost of just replacing it with stock ones. They make more power, they're more efficient, they give you more torque. These guys did a ton of testing and R&D on this stuff to make sure that it was gonna outperform and outlast any of the stock Ford Motor Co stuff that you'd be replacing it with. You get upgraded parts, you know they last longer, and there's less headache. I think it's a win-win overall. And you got room for growth. Now, the liver noise too, that is a game changer. To be able to have a lot more power and torque down low and in the mid-range where you need it is a huge improvement. All this stuff is plug and play. It all bolts in, plugs in, whatever it's got to do. And hell, it works a hell of a lot better. 10 out of 10 in my book. But we still have one more thing that we want to cover in this episode, which is a little bit more my speed, and I think your speed too. We're gonna show you that right now. I couldn't let you leave this episode without us doing a little hooning and scumbaggery and something with a V8, right? And I figured since that we were on the topic of work trucks, what better than this plain Jane ass, all white work truck spec Chevy Silverado 1500. If you're gonna be making products, you gotta test them in real world scenarios. What better way than just putting a bajillion miles on it? When I heard that this happened to be packing some whirly boys, I figured, you know what? It would be sacrilege for me not to go and see what this thing does. This thing is your basic plain Jane 5.3 modern direct injected deal, stock trans, stock basically everything other than this turbo kit. It's got twin 62 mil turbos on it with a 55 mil exducer, and then the rest of the kit is all Armageddon stuff. It's kind of like the perfect sleeper. You can go pick up gravel in some, or you can go drag somebody's ass on the highway. And I love that. I think we should go see what this thing will do, because apparently it makes about 550 to the tire, and that's on basic pump gas, no E85, no trickery. That's just drive it every day, go bang limiter in it. So let's go do some of that. Look at that, just nice and quiet, and nobody's gonna know any better. Then you hit the switch on them. Oh, whoa, buddy, let's get it. She got some spice. God damn, she eats. Got 4 gears out of that one. Let's go. Oh, work truck's doing work. Let's give her another good honest attempt, huh? little 5.3 is getting it. I tell you what, between that little Ecoboost putting down way too much power for its rear wheels, or the tires that are on it, or the weight that's in it, with some OEM replacement turbos, and then this thing just absolutely getting it. It is crazy what good turbo technology will do to wake up a completely stock motor and drivetrain. I cannot believe it. This thing has 251,000 miles on it too. That Ecoboost Ford we were driving earlier, 117K. Their test mule, like 400K. That's insane. So look, I'm a believer now, and I'm pretty sure that everything I own needs a turbo or some sort of forced induction, because this is crazy. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to see more forced induction, turbo stuff on the channel, let me know in the comments. But we got to get back to work because we got a lot of building to do. So, we'll see you on the next one.